Showtime! The Capital G show starts right now.
What's up YouTube, Capital G here. So, I spend a lot of time on this channel talking about the physical trading card game and all of its aspects, but that doesn't mean that I don't appreciate and love the comical side of Yu-Gi-Oh! That's been created by the players and the fans. With that in mind, in this video, I say that we no longer let our memes be dreams, and I'll be exploring some of the most famous, laughable, and high quality memes when it comes to Yu-Gi-Oh! Now, just for clarification's sake, these memes can be relating to the trading card game, the anime, the manga, Yu-Gi-Oh! Video game, or other sources, as long as it originates and is about Yu-Gi-Oh! And in this top 10 list, I'll primarily be focusing on those truly legendary memes that have stood the test of time, or ones that are just massively popular. With that said, let the dankness begin as I welcome you to the top 10 greatest Yu-Gi-Oh! Memes, the Yu-Gi-Oh! Hierarchy. Number 10, Monster Kaido. Source, Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Monsters Anime.
Monster Kaido! Monster Kaido! Monster Kaido! Monster Kaido!
Whether you know it as Throw Haga from the Train or Weevil Underwood getting the worst beating of his life, the scene that inspired this meme was undoubtedly one of the most savage moments in Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime history. As Yami continues to draw monsters, his relentless assault with Breaker the Magical Warrior does as well, each time shouting out the iconic Monster Kaido. This leads to many players jokingly using the term in real-life duels as they use a key monster for victory. Number 9, In America. Source, Yu-Gi-Oh! The Abridged series.
Now it's time for my favorite Shakespeare quote. Alas, poor Yorick, I knew him in America.
Bandit Keith was already a cool minor villain during the Duelist Kingdom arc in the original Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Monsters anime, especially in the dub series, where his smugness and superiority complex resonated incredibly well. But Little Karibo ramped his personality up to a 10 on the Abridged series, making him feel like an oafish, stereotypical American macho man, complete with one of the best catchphrases in the entire show. In America wasn't just a catchphrase, it was a way of life for Bandit Keith, symbolizing that American is just a much better way of life and everything is absolutely awesome in America.
I don't believe it. Yugi forfeited the match to Kaiba. Ben Affleck would be ashamed. In America.
Number 8, What Does Pot of Greed Do? Source, Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Monsters and Yu-Gi-Oh! GX animes.
I play the magic card Pot of Greed. It allows me to draw 2 cards from my deck.
I'll play this, my Pot of Greed. A magic card that allows me to draw 2 more cards from my deck.
Pot of Greed is not only one of the most powerful cards of all time, but it's also one of the simplest. So one might wonder why a card with literally 2 words of text and a number is so commonly explained, and I'm not exaggerating when I say that Pot of Greed has been explained over 100 times between the animes and manga of Yu-Gi-Oh! GX and the original Duel Monsters. The overabundance eventually became so comical that players would sarcastically ask, what does Pot of Greed do? There have even been full-on explainer videos made by the likes of Rank 10 Yu-Gi-Oh! That attempt to delicately examine this topic. Number 7, But You Still Take the Damage. Source, Yu-Gi-Oh! Art V. This is one of my personal favorites, and it's become arguably the show's most widely recognized line. It's essentially the Pot of Greed meme of Arc V. It's triumphantly shouted anytime a monster would survive battle destruction but isn't actually immune from taking battle damage, and it happens a lot on this show. I've personally come to think of it as more of a defiant battle cry. When a duelist attempts to gain the psychological upper hand by telling their opponent that their attempts to destroy a monster in battle were in vain, this can be the perfect countermeasure, letting them know that that is true, but they still got that ever so important battle damage. Number 6, You Just Activated My Trap Card. Source, Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Monsters anime.
You triggered my trap card!
So this is a pretty popular meme, and it has some variations. They basically all mean the same thing. In the original Duel Monsters anime, it was quite common for duelists to play a trap in response to a certain action and announce that their opponent had activated or triggered their trap. This became a meme because rarely, if ever, does that happen in the actual card game. The anime characters are basically using the line in the wrong context. Simply attacking doesn't mean that you activated your opponent's Mirror Force. They are the ones who actually activate the card. This meme was a no-brainer for the list from the beginning. Number 5, after that cubic shit, I'm not surprised. Source, my channel. I'm sure most of you guys know about the hilarious meme and its somewhat troubling origin after one too many clickbaity cubic videos were posted on my channel that many felt like they were duped into watching. The backlash I was receiving was fairly high, and after I made a video expressing my frustration with the backlash and the Yu-Gi-Oh community, that did not help by the way, a subscriber named Zeke would actually create one of the best memes of all time, justifying the hate that I was getting by simply saying, after that cubic shit, I'm not surprised. This infuriated me, but as time went on and the response became more common, it actually humored me because the context changed from a way to advocate hate to a simple meme that really didn't mean anything anymore. Number 4, card games on motorcycles.
Card games on motorcycles.
Card games on motorcycles!
Card games on motorcycles.
Card games on motorcycles.
Card game on motorcycles!
Source, Yu-Gi-Oh! The Abridged series and the Yu-Gi-Oh! 5D's anime. Let's be real, just like Little Karibo, most people thought that the entire concept of the 5D's anime was idiotic, and that's putting it mildly. After all, why would one be playing Duel Monsters while riding a motorcycle? Not only would it seem incredibly unsafe, but what could you actually accomplish that you couldn't by just simply standing? Well, the whole world laughed so much that the meme was created, and the preposterous concept of 5Ds was pretty unforgettable. However, Konami would actually get the last laugh, as 5Ds was the most well-received anime in the franchise's history, and this meme actually changed from negative to positive. Number 3, with no monsters left on the field, I summon Dark Magician and declare direct attack. Source, Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links.
With no monsters left on the field, I summon Dark Magician, declare direct attack.
Ah, you got me.
Told-Jo's the master.
GG.
GG.
It's pretty understandable when they don't follow the rules in the anime, but when Konami goes out of their way to make a commercial with real people playing the card game and they still don't follow the rules, that's when memes get created. The community has often pointed out many of the characteristics that make the Duel Links ad somewhat cringy, but the blatant fan service and the smug protagonist and his, can I say, very punchable face supersede all of that. What we're left with is unintentionally one of the greatest Yu-Gi-Oh! Moments of all time. Number 2, screw the rules, I have money.
Screw the rules, I have money.
It was a very depressing time in my life, since I didn't have any money, so I was unable to screw the rules.
Source, Yu-Gi-Oh! The Abridged series. Seto Kaiba is one of the most beloved and complex characters in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Universe, one who believes that might is everything, who is a dueling champion, and who isn't afraid to crush his opponents with no hesitation, so it was a clear act of brilliance when Little Karibo decided to add this simple line of dialogue in the very first episode of Yu-Gi-Oh! The Abridged series, one that pokes fun at the fact that no one in the anime's first season actually follows the rules, not even the reigning world champion, triumphantly announcing that with his money and wealth, rules were simply beneath him and Yugi as well. This is one of the best anime catchphrases of all time. Honorable mentions include Free My Nigga Stratos, Card Games Are Serious Business, and Attention Duelist. Finally, to our number 1, MST Negate, source unknown. So it's pretty impossible to find the exact source of this meme, but I can personally assure you that the origins go back well into the early 2000s. This all spawns from Yu-Gi-Oh's infancy and the fact that in the early days, no one really knew what the hell they were doing. The most common mistake and questions in the entire game would always arise in regards to Mystical Space Typhoon, where players would often use it in response to normal spells and non-continuous traps, expecting it to negate the card since it destroyed them. Many years later, the community would collectively learn this is not how the card works at all, and it became very common to troll newer players when they asked, does MST negate, by saying yes, MST does actually negate. Starting all the way back with the 3rd booster set of Yu-Gi-Oh! And still being used 15 years later, MST Negate, you are truly the king of memes. So, let me know what you guys think. Were there any amazing legendary memes that I missed out on? What's your favorite Yu-Gi-Oh! Meme? Leave it in the comment section below. Thank you guys for watching, as always, and subscribe if you have not already.
In America.